What is up, everybody? So today I wanted to make a video telling you how I believe the first round of every fantasy football draft should go. This means that this is where I would draft these players and in what order I have them ranked. First up, we have Jamar Chase, and this is a pretty safe pick. He has a high floor and a high ceiling. Obviously, the upside is there, but the Bengals haven't changed too much. They should take a step in the right direction, so I don't see Jamar Chase taking a step back in any area. The volume's going to be there. The big plays are going to be there. T. Higgins is still there, so everything should still be good for Jamar Chase. I think it's pretty safe taking Jamar Chase at the 101, the Triple Crown winner from last year. You can't go wrong with this pick. At number 2, I got Bejon Robinson, and I really like Bejon this year. The reason why I have him over Saquon is actually going to be the receiving usage. I'm ranking them for full PPR leagues. Bejon had 400 more receiving yards than Saquon last year. That's a big number. I think Bejon will be very heavily involved. The Falcons, same thing. They didn't change up too much. Bejon shouldn't really take a step back. And he wasn't very big play dependent last year. He didn't have any explosive plays that he was very big play dependent. So I think Bijan's a safe pick. It's not like, oh, if some of these plays don't happen that he's going to be a bust. No, the receiving volume's going to be there. So I like Bejon at the 102. At the 103, I actually have Jahmyr Gibbs, and at the 104, I have Saquon Barkley. I'm going to talk about these guys together to kind of compare them because I think they're very close. I think they're in the same tier. The thing that's scary about Barkley is he's 1 year older, and the receiving volume is just not there. In PPR formats, Gibbs and Barkley actually scored very similar to each other. But if somebody put Barkley ahead of Gibbs, I wouldn't be mad because Gibbs does not have his offensive coordinator. The O-line probably took a slight step back. But I think his usage will be there even more this year than last year. Of course, he started splitting snaps at the beginning of last year. So I slightly lean Gibbs because of the receiving usage, because of the young age, because of the upside that he offers. But if somebody put Barkley above him, I wouldn't be upset. Barkley's still going to be very, very good this year. He's another year older, which is scary. The RB1 curse is very real. So that's why I lean Gibbs over Barkley. At the 105, we have Justin Jefferson. And Justin Jefferson is still the most talented wide receiver in this league. Everybody really, really, really likes J.J. McCarthy over there. So I don't think J.J. McCarthy will be a step back in any sense from Sam Darnold. I think the Vikings should still have a good offense. Sam Darnold to J.J. McCarthy, like I said, it really should not impact Justin Jefferson's value. We've seen Justin Jefferson is so QB-proof anyways. I think Jefferson's going to be great. He has insane upside because of how talented he is. He's a super safe pick. So, yeah, I like Justin Jefferson at this pick. Next up, at the end of 106, I have CeeDee Lamb, and this ends Tier 1. I think everybody in Tier 1 is super safe to be very, very good next year, except for maybe Saquon Barkley because, of course, it's scary with his age. But Saquon hasn't showed any signs of regression or anything that we should really be scared about. But CeeDee Lamb does in the first tier. I think CeeDee Lamb has a very high floor. He was even good last year while Dak was hurt. So I think this offense is going to take a huge step forward. And I don't think George Pickens is going to hurt his value. I think it'll actually help his value. I think Pickens will be able to take some of the defense attention downfield to leave CeeDee Lamb open upfield. So I definitely think CeeDee Lamb's going to be very good next year, especially with the healthy Dak. I think this ends Tier 1. There's a pretty big gap between him and the next person, in my opinion, but I really like CeeDee Lamb at the 106. Next up, we have Malik Neighbors at the 107, and the reason why there's a gap between him and CeeDee Lamb is just because there's so much more questions. Of course, he's in a way worse situation as a new QB, but the reason why I do think this is a safe pick and I like him here is because his target share was absolutely insane last year. We also know Malik Neighbors is so talented, so I do like Malik Neighbors at the 107. There is a gap between him and everybody else, like I said, because of the question marks that go on in the Giants organization because of how bad their offense has been and probably will be next year. Not many people really are too high on Jackson Dart, so we'll see how that goes. But I still think the target share is going to be there, and I still think Malik Neighbors will be very, very elite due to his talent. I think he's somewhat QB-proof. We saw that last year. Next up, we have Devon Achain, and Achain is my RB4 and pick 108. I don't think Achain can go below RB4. I see people putting Janty over him. I see people putting CMC over him, and I just don't get that. Achain is the undoubted RB4. Without Jonnu Smith, with a healthy Tua, his targets and his involvement in the passing game is going to be insane. I expect the Dolphins to take a step forward, and Achain was really good last year with a worst offense. So I think Achain will see volume. He'll see touches. The offense will only get better. So Achain will be very, very good this year. I love this pick. Super high upside. All right, guys, and next up at the 109, we have Nico Collins. Without Tank Dell, without Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins will see a bunch of red zone work that I think Stephon Diggs took. And I also think without Tank Dell, Nico Collins will see even more downfield work. Nico Collins is just going to explode. He's a super safe pick here. We know that him and CJ Stroud already have chemistry. There's no reason for me to think that he will regress from last year when he was already really, really good. I love Nico Collins at this pick. Nico's pretty safe. This is a good pick right here. Don't overthink it. At the 110 and very close to Nico Collins, we have Puka Ngata. I think Puka will be very good as well. I don't think Devontae Adams will hurt his targets or anything like that. We've seen he can be very good with another wide receiver of that caliber like Cooper Kupp. When Cooper Kupp was there, Puka was still very, very good. So I think Puka is a very safe pick. I think he's definitely a round one pick. Puka, as long as Matt Stafford's okay. Matt Stafford raises a couple questions, which is why I put somebody like Nico over him, because Matt Stafford does raise questions. He's another year older. I think he was talking about having surgery. So I don't know what's going on with that situation. So that's why Puka's below somebody like Nico Collins. But still, nonetheless, as long as Matt Stafford is somewhat okay and somewhat like he was last year, Puka's still a great pick here. Up next, we have Aman Ra, and a lot of people would probably have Aman Ra higher above guys like Nico, but the reason why I did drop him a bit from my last year rankings is because that Aman Ra did lose a little bit on his offensive line. I do expect the line to be a little bit worse. They also got a new OC who plans to use Jameson Williams more, even in wide receiver one formats, and Laporta will probably be even more involved again this year, unlike last year, like he was his rookie year. So I do think Laporta will take a step up, JMO will take a step up, but Aman Ra will see a little bit less volume. So I do still think Aman Ra is a first-round pick, great value, but he just isn't as high as he normally would be. And then at the 112, the last pick of the first round, we have a complete opposite case. We have Brian Thomas Jr., and his floor isn't necessarily there, but his ceiling is there. Brian Thomas Jr. has an insane ceiling. He can very easily finish as like a top 3 wide receiver. He had an insane amount of yards and targets last year. Brian Thomas, especially with Trevor Lawrence, can be very, very good. The ceiling is there. He can be as good as he wants to be. But the floor is not there. He's only had one season in the NFL. They drafted Travis Hunter. We got a new coach. We got a new quarterback. We don't know how him and Trevor Lawrence are necessarily going to play because Lawrence was hurt half the year last year. There's just a lot of question marks overall with Brian Thomas Jr. Like I said, we haven't seen him only for one season. So it's very hard to put rookies in the first round, but I think he warrants that with the work that he did last year. The upside's there. He can finish super, super high, but the floor is not necessarily there. It's not like the safest pick, but if you're chasing upside, Brian Thomas Jr. is the way to go. And I know everybody's upset that I didn't put CMC, but guys, I don't think CMC is a first-round pick. I think he should be the 201. I think he should be the first pick of your second round. CMC is another year older. The 49ers didn't look great the last year. So I'll get into that when I talk about my second-round picks. But, yes, I don't think CMC should be a first-round pick. I wouldn't take him over the guys I just said. I think all those wide receivers, Puka, Brian Thomas, Aman Ra, Nico Collins, I think they're all in the same tier. You can put those guys wherever they want. So I feel like if I put somebody over one of them, I'd put them over all of them. And I don't think CMC deserves to be over all of them at all. So, yeah, no CMC. But let me know what you guys think about this list. This is how I think the first round of all of your fantasy football drafts should go.